So we're going to talk with somebody today who has had close encounters with Somali pirates, hurricanes in the North Atlantic. Well, maybe not hurricanes, but interesting weather. My son Benjamin off a boat from hauling freight around the world, sailing, 6 out of the 7 seas. We'll talk with him on the Fallon Forum today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
Hello, Mid-American Energy.
I'm very concerned that you want to bill me an extra $5,000 to build a nuclear reactor. Do you know we're in the middle of a recession?
Oh, we were hoping you wouldn't hear about that until after the legislature had taken action.
Why not let your shareholders pick up the tab?
Oh, way too risky for our shareholders. We need you, our loyal customers, to pay for it.
Wait, let me see if I understand this. Mid-American wants to build a nuclear power plant in 10 or 20 years, and they want me to pay for it now?
That's right.
Well, I'll just take my business elsewhere.
Sorry, we're a monopoly. What we say goes.
I've heard nuclear power is more expensive than other sources.
Yes, it is.
And I've heard there's no plan for how to dispose of nuclear waste.
We're looking at shooting it into the sun.
Well, I'm not going to sit back and let you make bad decisions with my money.
We're betting you will.
Stop Mid-American's power grab. Call your legislators today. 281-3371. 281-3371.
Paid for by Physicians for Social Responsibility.
Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Happy Black Friday, everyone. If you're watching the show live, that means you're making a very responsible choice and probably not out patronizing some chain business and spending a lot of money on things you may not need. Anyway, that's the assessment in by I can't remember the analysis, who did the analysis, but apparently it's a lot of money that people are spending on stuff that, when questioned, they really not sure they need, or the people they're buying it for needs. But anyway, it's become as much of a tradition as Thanksgiving in this country. So if you are tuning in today, thank you. I will say this: the Skywalk is darn quiet today. A lot of folks have off from work, and that's a good thing. You all earned a vacation, a little rest, and I'm sure when you're back on Monday, I'll be waving at folks in the window out here. Okay, before we get to a conversation with my son about what it's like to be a merchant marine, I want to thank Doris Render for a hard-hitting letter to the editor today that I think really sums it up pretty well. The title of the article, of the letter rather, is "Taxpayers Subsidizing Low-Wage Businesses." She describes how conservatives are feeling very wounded right now because America is picking on rich people and giving, quote, stuff to lazy no-good bums who have no money. I guess Mitt Romney's word for stuff, of course, is gifts. My word would be policy. Doris says, here's another way to look at it. Big corporations hire a lot of people and create a lot of jobs. Okay, true. Fast food chains and retailers employ millions. Yeah. Walmart alone employs over 1.4 million people in the U.S., and most of these people make minimum wage, which is below the poverty level. In fact, you might remember a few years ago when Walmart met with applicants for their jobs. In addition to going through the process of what it was like to work at Walmart, they also told them how to apply for assistance at the local human services office. That should say volumes right there. So, Doris continues, most are given fewer than 40 hours a week so the company doesn't have to pay benefits. And with such low income, they are eligible for free, the employees are eligible for free or reduced price school lunches, Section 8 housing, tax credits, food stamps, and energy assistance. Okay, so yeah, those are the bottom feeders, the ungrateful, the ever demanding 47% that Mitt Romney like to talk about. One 200-person Walmart store can cost the government, meaning the taxpayers, around $420,750 per year because of all the subsidies needed to make those allow the employees to live somewhere other than under a bridge and eat somewhere out other than out of a dumpster. Doris concludes, who ultimately receives our tax dollars? Walmart's owners get greater profits because they get by with paying poverty wages. We are in essence subsidizing Walmart. Yeah, and again, I don't hear folks on that side of the fence saying, "Hey, let's crack down on corporate welfare. Let's crack down on these subsidies for various companies." And this is a really good example of how some corporations who hire lots of people, pay horrible wages, don't pay benefits, end up using us, the taxpayers, to enable them to do that. In conclusion, she writes, there are many corporations paying good wages, and of course, not all poor people are blameless victims. 2 good points. The point is, we want politicians intelligent enough to deal with complex realities rather than viewing everything as black and white. And I would add to that, or as simply trying to find a way to line the pockets of their allies and corporate and donors. Okay, one other thing I got to mention today, because this will probably keep coming up and up and up, and we need to be aware of what's going on. Matt Schultz, Iowa Secretary of State, is now pursuing something he calls verification of absentee signatures. This is a process that would basically assure that the 43+% of the population that voted absentee this time, that will probably continue to increase, that they are actually who they say they are. Well, again, as with Matt Schultz's other efforts to try to find ways of making it harder to vote, show us the problem. Where is the problem? I mean, when he was challenged by Democrats to go out and find people who had voted, illegally, who were not registered voters, not eligible to vote, and cast a vote anyhow, statewide, he found 3 people who were convicted: two Canadians, and a woman from Bosnia. I think that none of them stayed around long enough for the convictions. But again, in a state of 3 million people, where you have over 2 million votes cast often, and you find 3 problems, I think we should call that a raging success. So again, my challenge to Matt Schultz is, what is the problem? What specifically are you trying to fix? And he's even got Republicans questioning whether this new initiative makes any sense. State Representative Peter County from West Des Moines, who was the most recent chair of the House State Government Committee and who very well may continue to be, said the proposal would need to be vetted. That's code language in the legislature for probably stuck in a drawer and forgotten about. He says, quote, I'm all for making sure that we have the proper accountabilities in place while not disenfranchising voters and while not adding unnecessary costs for the taxpayer regarding our voting. And again, yeah, 2 good points. It will cost more money to do what Matt Schultz wants to do, and it almost certainly will disenfranchise somebody. Okay, so County's Democratic counterpart in the Senate, Jeff Danielson, who only won by 22 votes not too long ago and won a very close election this time, he's described as even less enthusiastic. He said the state already has an innovative and widely admired software system for managing elections. It's known as the Precinct Atlas, and that tracks ballots and ensures security. Danielson points out that Iowa would be better served expanding that system than adopting something new like signature verification. Okay, and also the Secretary of State would do a much more important and pressing problem is his absolute lack of any delivering any kind of credible election results on election night. I mean, that people had to go to a different website essentially. That there were significant delays in reporting, that some areas of the state were not reported accurately. Please. That's my biggest concern when it comes to your job, Mr. Schultz. So please look at that first before you start trying to find creative ways of making it more difficult for people to vote. Okay, I am thrilled. It being the holidays, sometimes, families get together on holidays. Well, my son's back in town, and he's been out on the high seas for quite a while. Yes, I think some of them have been quite high. And, I did look up, we have this expression, the 7 seas. Well, apparently that definition back when it was first coined in the Middle Ages included the Mediterranean, the Arabian Sea, the Black Sea, the Caspian Sea. The 7 seas were a pretty clustered group in Europe and Asia. And now, of course, the 7 seas refer to the biggest oceans in the world. And I think Ben has been on 6 out of 7. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thanks.
How's it feel to be back on dry land?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
You got your land legs back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Ran them off. Ran off the sea legs.
That's right. You ran the turkey trot yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah? How'd you do?
It was good. It was, because I was training on the ship running when it was moving as well. But better off running on dry land.
Yeah. How does that work doing laps around a ship? I mean, these are big ships, but still, what is it, an eighth of a mile around the deck?
Yeah, it was about 7 laps on the deck.
7 laps to the mile?
But it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're running on metal.
Yeah, steel. Yeah.
Steel. So that can't be great for the calves.
No, probably not.
Or the shins.
You got to stay fit somehow. Yeah.
So anyway, you were fit enough to do the turkey trot.
Yep.
But you got beat by your sister.
Yeah.
Do I actually admit that you actually got lapped by your sister?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, she's had the benefit of training on dry land.
Yeah.
Constantly for a long time. So anyway, I mean, this is you're a merchant marine, and some people confuse that with the U.S. Marine Corps. There's no military connection at all.
No, not directly.
No, I mean historically there were in times of war, the merchant marines could be called up by the U.S. military.
Yeah, World War II was the last time, I believe.
Really? It happened in World War II?
Yeah, where the school just cranked out a lot of cadets to start shipping goods.
Oh, because there were 5 merchant marine academies around the country?
Now there are, yeah.
None in Iowa?
Nope.
All on the coast?
Yeah.
All right.
There's one in Michigan. Lansing.
Kind of a coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Michigan and Texas A&M as well.
So I mean, just what's a typical day like out on the ocean?
It depends. It's different. I mean, you could be underway, steering a course, or at anchor, staring at nothing, or in port working cargo, and
And most of your time is out at sea, but then again, you're maybe in port for a few days or a week.
Right. Yeah, it all depends. If you have repairs too, you could be in the shipyard, sitting at the shipyard, getting work done.
Yeah.
But you stay pretty busy.
And what do you haul?
The ship I'm on now, it's multi-purpose cargo. So it can be containers, any dry bulk cargo. It's general purpose, I guess you can class it as.
Do you haul a lot of stuff from Walmart?
No, probably. A lot of the ships from Walmart they go into Long Beach.
Oh, there actually are Walmart ships?
Oh yeah, they charter out the whole ship. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So they don't. So these are vessels that work for a shipping company and Walmart. They don't actually own the ships. They just
charter
the entire. Yeah. The entire cargo is their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're cheap,
all containerized.
Cheap stuff made by 14-year-olds in
Taiwan
China.
or something.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's usually where it's coming
But
from.
sometimes you haul really, really big stuff like planes.
Yeah,
trains.
we've done helicopters, trains, tugboats, yachts.
Yeah.
Anything that's mostly we do heavy lift is what it's called. Anything that's heavier than a container is usually 9 tons each, and anything that can't be boxed up, so any bulky cargo. So we do a lot of export too as well. Just from the U.S. port overseas, most of it, and a lot of military cargo also. That's the main reason why we got the ship. For the military cargo.
So have you hauled a lot of military stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like patrol boats, tugboat.
Okay. Tugboat was military?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you think of cute little cartoons with teeny tiny tugboats and you think, isn't that cute? But these things are huge. Tugboats are massive.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
How long does it take to load or unload one of those?
Just because the unusual size and weight, it took us from when we first started hauling up. We picked it out of the water and then dropped it on the deck in a cradle. Placed it gently in a cradle. It took about 6 hours from lift to land.
Really?
Yeah, because you got to move water as you.
And do they make cranes that are strong enough to be able to hold something like
we
a
had
tugboat?
2 cranes on deck, and they're each 250-ton capacity, and the tug was 480-ton. So we just barely made it. And you twin up the cranes, so you split the load.
So you split the load, okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's always interesting, and it's not like that's the only cargo we do. It's always different.
So
every time.
if that should fail, and the tugboat should drop, and presuming it doesn't do anything as nasty as kill a longshoreman,
No, that would happen.
but say it falls, and are you guys covered? Do you have liability insurance or something to insure for a tugboat that cracks because it fell?
Yeah, well, they'd probably dissect the mishaps and who messed up where, and then point the finger first, and then they drug test everybody who was alive, and
So everybody on the ship or on the shore is going to be drug tested.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is before your time, but I believe his name was Captain Hazelwood.
yeah, with the Exxon.
Yeah, Exxon Valdez. I mean, did that change the culture of the merchant marine world much?
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing about this industry and most, I think, is something bad has to happen before they initiate a change. And
That's pretty much
enforce
human
things.
activity across the
Yeah.
board.
Somebody has to get seriously killed, or something bad like the oil spill has to happen. A lot of things changed after that. Like obviously, now you cannot drink on a U.S. flagship. Used to be bars. Foreign ships have bars, and now they have to be double hull. Because the tanker was only single hull.
So in
So
case
there
it
has to be
does,
a space in between the holes. So if it were to pierce, it wouldn't pierce directly into the cargo, which oil.
costs more money.
Yeah, but they're phasing it out. I think it's 2012.
They're going back to single hull.
No, double hull. It's enforced.
Oh, okay, they're phasing out single hulls completely and going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
double hulls. But I'm guessing that costs more money too for the shipping company.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's just something that's just an effect that's snowballed from.
So what if I wanted to go shopping today after the show?
Yeah.
And I wanted to buy like a Jack in the Box, and I wanted to send that to a friend in India.
Yeah.
Could I get a little place on the boat where could I rent just a little space?
No, I think.
No, I can't just rent like a little.
I don't
space.
know.
No.
I think you have to.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta
Just
go through a shipping line. You'd probably call the shipping line and ask them.
I was pretty sure the answer was no to that. All right.
But
So your last trip was you flew to Singapore, and I remember looking at a map thinking, okay, Jacksonville, which is where you live when you're on dry land,
yeah.
to Singapore. Either way, going west or east, it's about the same flight. It's the furthest.
Yeah, it was.
Should
We
be-
looked it up. It was the longest commercial running flight from Newark to Singapore.
Newark to Singapore.
22 hours.
Yeah,
Direct,
yeah.
longest direct commercial flight.
So you started there,
Mm-hmm.
and then went across the Indian Ocean, and
Yep, Africa, and then up to Persian Gulf, and then back down to Africa, and then around back to Jacksonville, and then ended up in Milwaukee in the end of it. Went up the coast, and then went through the Great Lakes, all the locks, the Seaway Transit.
yeah, that fascinates me too. I'd like to hear more about that because that to me has got to be a very different animal than being out in the ocean. But I'm interested in knowing more about what weather phenomena you encountered, and also I think there's a lot of interest in Somali pirates,
Right.
and you actually have sent me pictures of Somali pirates
Oh, yeah.
off your bow.
Oh, I see him. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to go to a break, folks. But when we come back, we'll continue this conversation with my son in town for the holidays. Ben Fallon, Merchant Marine, got his start, got his interest in this. Compliments of the Des Moines Public Schools marine biology program. So interesting how one class in high school can lead to a promising career. Anyway, folks, we'll be back in a few minutes. You're welcome to join this conversation at 244-0077. I want to thank Physicians for Social Responsibility and the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club for sponsoring this program. I also want to thank Gateway Market. Gateway Market is at 20th and Woodland in downtown Des Moines. That's our neighborhood grocery store here in downtown and in Sherman Hill. They've got all the stuff you could possibly want food-wise for the holidays. And they've got a great line of cosmetics and wines and they've got it all, folks. And a lot of it comes from local sources. So check them out at 20th and Woodland. Also a great place for breakfast, lunch, or supper. And if you've got catering needs, they can deal with that as well. That's Gateway Market and Cafe at 20th and Woodland in Sherman Hill. We'll be back in a few minutes.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm a burrito.
I'm a fighting burrito, full of fresh ingredients prepared before your very eyes.
I don't have eyes.
I have over 28 options and 268 million combinations, including Rizo for vegetarians.
I can take my meat off and call myself vegetarian.
Put that back on. The fighting burrito is locally owned.
I'm owned by some big corporation somewhere. Say, you want to go on a date?
No thanks. I'm seeing a quesadilla.
The Fighting Burrito online, fightingburrito.com. Join the fight.
It's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
Host is a locally owned restaurant in downtown Des Moines that focuses its food and philosophy on embracing simplicity. The majority of Host's food is from local farmers who practice sustainable and health-conscious agriculture. Much of what you'll find on your plate is a familiar comfort food, presented with a modern and tasty interpretation. Host is open for lunch Monday through Friday from 11 to 2, and also available for private dinner events and special themed dinners throughout the month. So, check out Host at 13th and Locust in Des Moines.
I love driving to Newton to see the races.
Me too, but I only have to drive across town.
You live in Newton?
Yep, Newton's got small town charm and it's close to Des Moines. I love the safe, friendly neighborhoods and family-owned businesses. And Newton's wind energy industry is really taking off.
How'd you find your home?
Dan Kelly with First Choice Realty. And Dan helped me find my office too.
Next time, instead of just speeding by, I'll stop in and check out Newton.
Why don't you check out Newton? Call Dan Kelly at 641-521-9260 or Dan Kelly at mchsi.com.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey folks, favorite neighbors, bringing us back to our conversation here. Later in the program, Hector Salamanca is going to join us. He is originally from Puebla, Mexico, which is of interest to me because my daughter went to school there for a semester. We're going to talk about the DREAM Act, immigration reform, and what it's like as a young person trying to fit into a country that is struggling with the immigration issue. But I want to thank Proof Restaurant for being the sponsor of this part of our program. And my son Ben is with me, and actually we ate at Proof the other night.
Yeah, I had lamb burger. Delicious.
Lamb burger.
Lamb burger.
I bet you don't get that kind of food on the boat.
Yeah, we get good food on the boat.
But not that good.
Oh, yeah. Not as good as Proof, no.
But no, I think people have stereotypes of sailors, struggling with scurvy and eating poorly, and those days are gone. I mean, you can be on the water for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, the lettuce goes first, then the fruit, then your sanity.
Lettuce, fruit, and then sanity. Yep. In that order?
Yep.
So you're saying you need vegetables and fruit for sanity?
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, that's good. All right. Well, again, plenty of that on the Proof menu as well. So,
yeah.
But I want to talk about your most recent trip. And you've been, oh gosh, in various parts of the world on what, 7 or 8, 9, 10 trips now? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't even keep track.
Yeah. But this most recent one took you into some bad weather in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Was that the equivalent of a hurricane you had to avoid?
No, southwest monsoon season. So just high winds, bring high seas. And just
so you don't go through that. You have to.
It's consistent winds, though. Just a consistent high winds. Hurricanes are just a low pressure system that run through and tear everything apart.
How do you deal with that monsoon?
You just bear with it,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did go through it.
Yeah, you have to.
But
you
it
can't
takes
just stop and wait for it because it's like 3 months long. It's a rainy season, just high winds and a lot of rain. But
you get seasick?
No.
Anybody else?
Yeah, every now and then somebody does.
Yeah.
But
do you throw them overboard or what?
Gotta work. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't get the stomach for this, you're off.
Yeah.
Into the ocean with you. So coming across the Atlantic though, that was a 23-day trek from South Africa to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And I was watching the map. Hurricanes all over the place.
Yeah, we had to monitor them. And
do you adjust your course based on?
Yeah, you have to. You don't want to be a hero and try to cut through it just to save time.
There's a movie about that.
What, The Perfect Storm?
Yeah.
Yeah, fishing boat.
Well, they were a fishing boat. Yeah. Now I'm curious. A fishing boat did not do very well in the quote perfect storm.
No, they were trying to be heroes.
How would you? I mean, they were trying to get their tuna back in. But how would a boat like a freighter have fared in that kind of weather?
Slowed down, change course. You could say you can add a couple days to your transit as long as everybody's safe. You don't want to,
Yeah. So
yeah. There's ways around it. There's plenty of room to wiggle around a hurricane. You don't have to cut right through it. Unless you're in the Gulf of Mexico, is pretty tricky because you are kind of boxed in, or like south of the Caribbean islands, you can be as well.
Right.
But Atlantic Ocean, you can.
It's a big area. It's a big. It's a big world out there.
You tend to want to take the southern route, going from East Coast to Europe.
Right. Okay. So I want to ask you about the pirates, but one other navigational feature that interests me is the trek from the Atlantic to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I bet you never thought when you started in Singapore you would end up in Milwaukee.
No idea. Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. I went up through Nova Scotia and the Seaway Passage, and then by the time you get to Montreal, it's freshwater instead of tidal.
Oh, that's where the switch
neat.
occurs.
Yep.
Okay.
Or it floods in and out, but that's where it's fresh.
Right.
Indefinitely, and then that's where the locks start, and it's about 13 to 14 locks from there to.
So that slows you down a lot because
Michigan.
every lock you've got to sit in and wait for the water to be raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how narrow, how wide is the St. Lawrence Seaway?
The narrowest point for the locks, the max beam of the ship had to be 23 meters, I think, which is maybe about 66 feet or something like that.
And
then we were about 22 meters.
So you had about a foot and a half either side of the boat.
Yeah. You got to wiggle in there.
And you don't want to be hanging your arms or legs over the.
No, yeah, we had to suck everything in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to take all the lights off, and everything had to be flush.
Well,
right in there.
Of all the interesting adventures you've had, close encounters with pirates off off Somalia.
Yeah.
You sent me a picture once of I think maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8 little pirate skiffs, little boats with.
Yeah, those I believe I saw them just north. So the Red Sea, where it chokes down to Bab el-Mandeb, is the strait right there.
Okay.
Where it opens up into the Gulf of Aden from the Red Sea. That was where I saw them. It was what's that? Saudi Arabia and Ethiopia.
Yemen.
Yemen and Ethiopia on the other side. Eritrea.
Right.
That's where I saw them. Because they move
just
around.
north of Somalia.
Yeah, they move around a lot.
Yeah.
You'll even see them off the west coast of India.
Yeah. So what do you do to protect your ship against the possibility of a pirate attack?
Well, now a lot of companies are, or if it's military contract, the military would hire out a security detachment, security team.
So because the boat is only, I mean, these big boats, they're huge boats, but still the crew is pretty small. Right?
Yeah, it's a small crew, and we're not trained to be.
How big is the crew?
Mercenary, huh?
How big is the crew?
16-person crew.
For a huge boat.
Yeah.
So you bring on how many extra people to?
3.
Oh, 3.
Usually 3, yeah.
That's enough to give the pirates a second thought?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just if they see a presence, that they're looking for easy targets usually.
Okay.
So if and we put razor wire along the railings, and we've made pirate scarecrows. We make a dummy, put them on the bow, just to.
What do you mean, a pirate scarecrow?
Just a life-size person, put them on the bow, just to make it look like there's a presence, and roving watches, and you know.
So the scarecrow actually fools the pirates?
We'll see. I don't know.
But no, are there? Last I heard, and this has been a while, maybe a year or two, but last I heard, the pirates in Somalia they were holding captive 60 vessels and about 600 people. That's a lot.
I've heard that. I don't know if the figures are right, but I've heard
that's
something
not
like
a
that.
yeah. So and how many of those 60 vessels? How many of them are freighter-sized ships? Or are they mostly smaller
Probably
vessels?
all of them.
What?
Probably all of them.
So they really, I mean, the fact that you're really, really big is not necessarily a deterrent. You've got to bring on the extra security, the razor wire, the scarecrows.
Yep, anything. Some ships you'll see they charge up their fire hoses and spray the fire pressure over the side, which I don't think. I mean, just annoy them.
How would a pirate get up the side of a boat anyhow, even without
They
the
have
razor wire?
Grapples, and they usually come from the quarter and the stern. They'll come alongside, and they'll have a mothership like a fishing boat, and they'll have a bunch of skiffs attached to it, and they deploy them from there.
Right.
They gotten crafty, but they have in the Gulf of Aden, the NATO forces, they patrol up and down, and they have a corridor where ships can transit in convoys. So they've accommodated in the Gulf of Aden, which is where a lot of ships were getting hit, but it's hard to branch out from there to the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Because you can't monitor that much ocean. Like they've had reports off 400 miles off the coast. They can really reach out. But
so now I hear, maybe you've heard differently, but I hear they treat their prisoners pretty well.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't eat as well as you would at Proof Restaurant, but they treat them pretty well.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot of reports of prisoners being tortured or abused or mistreated or malnourished. They treat them well. I presume at some point that most of them cough up some kind of money to be released.
Yeah. I don't know if the captives are treated well, but I know that they fire on the ships as they're trying to transit through.
They do fire on the ships?
Oh yeah. The pictures that I sent you when I saw the skiffs going through Bab el-Mandeb, they hit the ship right behind us. And we heard them on the radio screaming.
What kind of a ship was behind you?
It's just another cargo ship. Yeah.
Really? And when you said they hit it, did they actually capture it?
Yeah. No, they'll shoot at it and board it.
Did they capture it?
Grapple it. They attempted to. Yeah.
Huh.
It happens. It used to happen almost every day. When we were there, where was I last there? I'm losing track of the months. But last time I was around there wasn't a lot of piracy because of the southwest monsoon. But it happens there off the coast of Somalia, Gulf of Aden, Straits of Malacca. It happens a lot.
So piracy,
it's not as organized in the Straits of Malacca, which is between Singapore and Indonesia.
So piracy is kind of a seasonal occupation.
I guess.
Yeah. So, but what about this? The big picture, Somalia is probably one of the most devastated countries on the planet.
Yeah.
And there's been nuclear waste dumped off the coast by other countries. Mm-hmm. The fishing industry is decimated. People are struggling to figure out any way to make a living. So, in that true spirit of capitalism, they say, "Aha, let's go where the money is. Some of these ships and some of the people in them, we could probably make money hauling them into land here and keeping them captive." I mean, is there if you were to find a way to if there was a concerted global effort to try to fix the Somalian economy to address some of the problems with, again, the nuclear waste being dumped, the fishing industry being decimated, would you maybe see an automatic decline in that kind of activity?
I don't think it makes it right.
No.
I mean, I don't know about the nuclear waste and the fishing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I don't think it makes it right taking ships out and.
No, I'm not saying it's justified, but isn't there just a little bit? Don't you have a little feeling inside like
no.
No? Okay, these pirates maybe have some. No. I understand where they're coming from. No.
So somebody, dumps the trash on your front lawn. You're gonna go rob a bank and justify it. Trash my front lawn. I'm gonna go rob a bank. I don't know. I don't.
Good point. Well, okay, but now with a lot of countries around the world struggling and a lot of people really desperate, right. I'm kind of surprised this activity hasn't spread.
Right. I mean, Kenya's just south of it, and I was in Kenya, and I mean, they're not as war-torn, or they're not run by warlords like Somalia is. I think there's like 3 warlords or something in Somalia. And that's their main source of,
Is there some pirate activity off of Kenya?
No. Well, they had, I remember when I was in Kenya, they had a Kenyan Navy patrolling this grid, and they told us to come to this grid, and we'd be safe in this grid. And then Kenyans were patrolling the border of this grid, and it was pretty cool.
Kenyan officials.
Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty organized, and they advise strongly against piracy, which is I mean, and they're right next door to them, so I don't understand, why Somalia has to be. I don't.
Well, I mean, isn't part of it the Somali pirates have actually done a really good PR job at getting people on their side.
Yeah.
The Somali public likes the Somali pirates.
Do they?
Yeah. I think that's what I've heard.
They probably brainwash them, recruit them. I don't know.
Or just pay them.
Yeah.
Make their life a little bit better with money they bring in from,
if they're like
from kidnapping.
Former fishermen. I'm not sure what their background is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I guess I'm surprised this hasn't taken off in other parts of the world.
It's always been an issue. I mean, it just started becoming one since the Maersk, Alabama, really. But in the
Maersk,
US,
Alabama?
That was in, 2008, 2007?
And that was one of your, a guy who went to the same school you did.
Yeah, the captain.
Yeah.
Same school. And the chief mate, I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, the Irish economy, really, really bad right now.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to start seeing Irishmen attempting acts of piracy against Britain.
I think they get seasick, though.
The Irish get seasick?
Yeah.
How come you don't get seasick?
That's why they went I don't know. I'm only half seasick.
Only half seasick. All right. So what's next? You're on dry land for a while, and then what happens?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
No idea.
You got a crystal ball in your pocket.
I left my crystal ball at home. I'm sorry. Maddie has one, but
yeah,
but she's not reading it today. No. Anyway,
no idea. I don't know. My ship's in Rotterdam, Holland right now, but not sure what's next after that.
And I think where's it? You know?
Oh yeah, and then New Orleans after that, but
could be anywhere.
In January, I couldn't tell you. So
yeah, could be cold, could be hot. What's the hottest you've experienced?
120 degrees and
120.
And where was that? Dubai, not Dubai. Abu Dhabi, the capital of UAE, in July.
Wow,
pretty hot.
Yeah. It got 106 here, and that was hot enough.
Yeah, it was all dry heat too, so
yeah,
pretty bad.
What's the coldest you've experienced?
Probably in the Great Lakes, actually.
Oh, you mean just recently?
No, it was before in 2009. I think I worked 2 months in the lakes.
Oh, you're up in Lake Superior.
Yeah, in December and January, just before they closed the locks. Yeah, the lakes are seasonal. Whenever the locks freeze over. So
kind of like piracy. It's a seasonal
seasonal
gig. Okay. All right. Well, fascinating stuff. Anyway, welcome back to Des Moines. It looks the same to you? Different?
Yeah, there's some new development. It's always fun to come back.
Yeah, it really has become the cultural and culinary crossroads of the continent.
Yeah.
So you tell them that down there in Jacksonville, if they want a good time
in
terms of either food or art, music, we've got it right here.
All right.
All right.
I'll take the pamphlet.
Take the pamphlet. All right. Yeah. And no, I'm not being encouraged by the Greater Des Moines Partnership, our Chamber of Commerce, to promote. I really do think Des Moines has done a fantastic job. A lot of it just citizen initiative. They've really come a long way.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks so much for joining us, Ben. My son Ben
Absolutely.
Fallon, who is a merchant marine and spends half his life on the ocean, and the other half bothering us here in the heartland or in Florida or wherever else your travels take you.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
And I want to thank again Proof Restaurant for sponsoring this segment of the program. Again, fantastic food at Proof. The chefs, Hal and Sean, are like artists. They will take normal ingredients and make incredible dishes out of them. And Zach Mannheimer, the other partner in that effort, has a phenomenal taste for wine and cheese. And I'm still not there when it comes to being able to discern fine wines. So I take whatever they give me, but I tell you, the cheese, I know good cheese, and they have incredible cheese at Proof. Again, check them out, folks. They're open now for supper from Wednesday through Saturday from 5 on. Give them a shout at 244-0655 to make reservations. Thanks, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Hector Salamanca is going to join me to talk about the DREAM Act and about immigration reform.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
Hi, folks. It's Ed Fallon here. Proof Restaurant at 13th and Locust. You've probably been there for their award-winning, nationally recognized lunch specials. And here's where the chefs really get creative. Let me tell you, they're like artists, okay? I've been there, and it is one of the best meals I have had in Des Moines. I've heard that from other people. You got to check it out. Proof for supper. Do not assume you can get in. Make reservations. Contact Proof Restaurant online at proofrestaurant.com or 244-0655. That's 244-0655.
This is Dr. Holding, the Story County Veterinary Clinic. For 15 years, we have been spaying and neutering feral cat groups at affordable prices. Wild cats destroy game birds and songbirds. A single female cat can produce over 4,000 kittens in 7 years. The shelters are full, so unwanted kittens will be put to sleep. Your cats will stay home and stay healthy. Call us for all your dog and cat needs at the Story County Veterinary Clinic between Ames and Nevada on Highway 30, 1 mile east of Interstate 35. 515-232-8766.
Nestled in the heart of downtown, Ritual Cafe is one of Des Moines' most unique places, offering a wide variety of coffee and tea. Ritual Cafe also serves the only all-vegetarian menu in town. And Ritual Cafe is a cultural hub for artists and musicians, with a performance stage hosting local, national, and international talent. Make Ritual Cafe a part of your daily ritual. On 13th Street between Locust and Grand in downtown Des Moines. And check out ritualcafe.com.
More than ever, average Americans are being squeezed by high energy prices. For decades, oil companies like British Petroleum have demanded access to the oil off America's coasts, and they even receive taxpayer subsidies. Yet increased drilling won't solve America's energy problem. It will only increase oil industry profits. The Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club supports clean energy solutions, energy efficiency, and conservation as the pathway that's best for America, both for our environment and our economy. For more information, go to iowa.sierraclub.org. That's iowa.sierraclub.org.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Happy Black Friday, everyone. Welcome back to the conversation. Actually, happy Thanksgiving. I'm not a fan of Black Friday. In fact, I told the Des Moines Register they charge more than they should already for the paper. It went up, 25%? But for yesterday's paper, the one that contains all the ads I don't want, they charge an extra $2. So pay more for stuff I don't want. So I canceled yesterday. Maybe some folks have found value in the incredible display of ads available, but for me, not my shtick. I've got another guest in the studio with me, Hector Salamanca. He is from Puebla, Mexico. And that interests me because my daughter went to school in Puebla for a semester. Not a big place either. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So, and tell us your story a little bit. You're why are you here, and what brings you to Iowa?
What originally brought me to Iowa was around 1997 when my family came to Iowa. My father decided to choose Iowa due to its low Hispanic population, because that way we'd be able to, I guess, assimilate better.
He was trying to avoid Hispanics.
He was trying to avoid Hispanics. He was trying to avoid, I guess, a situation where we'd be more openly discriminated, or where, if someone saw us, they'd automatically think we were doing something bad. I guess he was trying to get away from any negative stereotypes towards Hispanics. But yes, I was brought here as a 3-year-old. I believe I turned 3 here in the United States in May.
So you're brought here illegally?
I was brought here as a tourist. I was brought here as a tourist.
Wait, how much tourism does a 3-year-old do?
Apparently, according to my passport, we were supposed to leave the December of that year.
Okay.
And on home videos, it states, my mom speaks on them, and she's saying that we're going to be back in Mexico of that December, with family and whatnot. But what from my family's told me is that around that time, the Mexican economy had a crisis, and we couldn't return for that. In order to immigrate to the U.S., even as a tourist visa, even with the tourist visa, my family had to sell. My dad had a small taxi company, small about three fleet cars, and he had to sell them. In pictures that I've looked back now, I can see that we had very few furniture with us. I mean, there would be pictures of me just in an empty room, and that's why my family decided to immigrate.
So you're saying he had a business, he had work, but it wasn't anywhere close to adequate to keep the family alive.
It wasn't anything close to adequate. I had at that time my younger brother had just been born, and both of my parents, they were educated. My mom was a lawyer in Mexico. My dad was a firefighter, and he had this taxi business on the side. So when they decided to immigrate, it wasn't a small thing. When we left,
your mother was a lawyer, and even that. That.
Yeah.
Usually being a lawyer is a lucrative profession.
Usually it is, but apparently in Mexico it isn't. And she's explained that to me as I've gotten older, that when she was a lawyer, it was because of the corruption, especially in Mexican politics, that if you were a criminal and you knew the judge, or if you were to pay the judge, you could get off. And my mom had one case that really affected her. She was trying to free this young man who was accused of murder, and all the evidence pointed that he wasn't guilty. All of this, and the person that the prosecution actually apparently was friends with the judge, so the judge ruled that he was guilty, and the man ended up incarcerated. So that just goes to show you how being a lawyer in Mexico isn't as lucrative as it is here.
Right. So anyway, you came here at a very young age. Your family has stayed?
My family made the decision to stay. They thought it was better for my brother and I, and now my youngest brother who was born here. They thought it was better for us to grow up here, to have an education here rather than going back to Mexico, because frankly in Mexico, from what they've told me, is that if you're not in the upper social classes and whatnot, your chances of succeeding are quite small, considering the fact if you don't have those connections, you either have the options of turning to drugs, trafficking drugs, or joining the military. And apparently the military has a height standard, which I cannot qualify under, I'm sadly shorter than 5'4".
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, they have a height standard.
They do have a height standard. Yep, they have a height standard, which I find ironic because here in the U.S. They don't. It's only 5 foot.
So you can serve in our army, but not in the.
You can't serve in the Mexican military if you're too short.
So you must be about 18.
19.
19. Okay. And are you in school?
I am in school. I'm at DMAC Ankeny. I'm studying there. I'm an honors student. Good student there. Graduated from Dowling Catholic about in 2011. Actually had dreams of joining the military back when I was in high school, because from all the propaganda and whatnot, they make the military seem like it's the good choice to go. You can paid school and whatnot.
Yeah, that's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, and all that. So that was my original goal, and I did not know of my status until close to the end of my junior year, beginning of senior year, when all my classmates were making preparations to go to college, preparations to apply for scholarships and whatnot. And my dad pulled me aside one day and told me that, hey, because of this status and because of the decision your mom and I made a couple years ago, you won't be able to go to a four-year college. You won't be able to continue your education at an affordable rate. You won't be able to drive. You won't be able to, participate in American passages of rights. And it was a big shock, I mean, there was a part of me that knew about it a little bit
Mm.
because back in when all those marches and rallies were going on when I was in middle school around 2007, 2006, when that call for immigration reform was really
Right,
strong.
during the Bush administration.
Yep, during the Bush administration, my family decided to take part of it. And at that time, I was like, yeah, we're helping, our Mexican brothers and sisters, our Latino brethren, and participating. But now that I look back, it's like, well, now there's another reason because we were in that same situation. But yeah, so to not be included in those passages of rights, it was kind of detrimental.
Rites of passage?
Yeah. It was kind of detrimental because you're seeing everyone go through this. They were able to drive, able to go to work, able to take their girlfriend out. But it's
so your status is still. What is your status now? It's just
as of right now, it's with deferred action applicant. I was accepted for deferred action.
so prior to deferred action. Again, that's the version of the DREAM Act that President Obama authorized back in last summer. One of the things that the president did that Mitt Romney refers to as a gift. So a gift from the president has allowed you to be a little bit more public.
Mm-hmm. To a degree, it has allowed me to be a little bit more public. What the deferred action did for me was I filed the application, I was granted it, and was allowed to receive a work authorization card, which allows me to seek employment, and with that as well, a social security number. So from what I've been explained to and what I've told other Latino youth, it's that it's not a legal status, it's not a path towards citizenship, it's not amnesty as some conservatives or some individuals call it in the media.
As Romney has called it.
It's none of that. It's like it's less than the DREAM Act. It's less than the DREAM Act light. It's more of a, we give you this documentation, you have it for 2 years, and let's see how it goes. I've talked to friends, and friends have told me that basically it just moves, you're undocumented, but with papers, because you're not considered a lawful resident, a lawful alien.
But it does
legal
give
status.
you. It does give you with certain accomplishments and certain restrictions.
It
gives
does
you the
give you
opportunity to.
It does give you the opportunity to.
And
It gives you more, I guess.
Right.
More of an
And how
opportunity
many?
to succeed.
I think if memory serves, there's about 800,000 young people who could eventually qualify for full citizenship because of that.
They could, but I organized with the American Friends Service Committee, along with Lionel Robinson, who's the director of Latinos Unidos, and we've really tried to get the Latino youth, undocumented Latino youth, to show up for this program, to go through this program, because it was like right before the election. Latinos weren't undocumented Latinos weren't filing for this process because they were afraid that Governor Romney would be elected president, and from his quotes and from what he had stated during the Republican primary and during the election, he would have discontinued the program because in his mind he would have had immigration reform at that time the program ended. So the numbers were very low during the beginning of the application process.
Have the numbers picked up after the election?
The numbers actually have. From what I know, from what AFSC has told me, is that as the election ended, a lot of people finally got their deferred action card. Their deferred action notice saying that they received it, and they also received their employment authorization card. So it looks like the numbers are picking up because the election's over, which is good, and we don't want it to seem like they created this program and now people aren't applying for it or taking advantage of it.
Right. So and it's technically a lot of people that could qualify. So all right. So now with the election behind us, maybe we will see a serious debate on immigration reform. My feeling is that the Republican Party has done a really good job at identifying the constituency groups it does not want to represent: gays and lesbians, poor people, labor union members, moderate women, even, and immigrants. And so, and I think it's been really clear that even though folks in your status don't vote, the number of Latinos who are eligible to vote and who are voting is really increasing. That's becoming a very important and even in some cases determining voting bloc. And so my suspicion is that there will be elements within the Republican Party that want to step forward and try to accomplish something on this issue. And even Democrats who have been kind of weak on any real, solid action on this might feel more empowered because of the growing power of the Latino vote. So I mean, that's my take on it. What do you think is going to happen now that we're through the election?
Well, during the election, for about 4 months, I worked for the Obama campaign. I was the Latino vote intern for the director of Latino vote for the state of Iowa.
That's right. You can't vote, but you can still get involved in elections. All right.
That's right. Yep. And we went around, and our big push and the director's big push was to get the Latino vote out there, to show our elected officials that the Latino vote does matter. The term is sleeping giant. We were a sleeping giant. Now we're awake. And we would go to Perry, go to Marshalltown. We'd organize events. We'd get Latinos interested in voting. Because for some Latinos, they don't know they can vote. If they're a U.S. citizen, they might not know they can vote. They might not even speak English. So we really had to make a push out there. And I remember asking my director, how come the Republican Party isn't doing this? How come all of this? And she explained to me that they must have really thought that they had it in the bag with just the Caucasian vote and with just, men vote. So, so the fact
the
that
angry white male voters, a
Yes.
shrinking constituency. Maybe,
very shrinking
Maybe you can
constituency.
still win elections in some parts of the country in some congressional districts, but you can't win a national election.
Yeah, so
with just the angry white male vote.
We talked about that, and after the election, we really saw that come to light. We had, we had conservatives being like, we need to reach out, our hands out to the Latino, to the minority, and whatnot.
Well, and George Bush, Bush understood that in Texas. The power of the Latino vote has been more significant for a longer period of time. And he understood that. And when he was making a very modest effort toward immigration reform, you mentioned back in 2005-06, there was pushback from the right in his own party. And a lot of that came through talk radio. I mean, Limbaugh, Beck, Hannity, that crowd were all very much against even the modest steps that Bush wanted to take as president. And they basically, mobilized a lot. They mobilized enough angry white folks, let's say what it is, to get Republican leadership in Congress and the U.S. Senate to back off. They helped kill any momentum at that time. I don't know whether they can do that again, because for the reasons you're stating.
Yeah, I don't think they can, because we've had Republican leaders such as Marco Rubio, who I believe will be the new face of the Republican Party in 2016.
Really, the man who's not a scientist, man.
Not a scientist,
No,
but
But he is the son of immigrants.
I believe he will be able to appeal to a majority of Latino voters just because he is Latino, and because, as we stated in the campaign, that if it weren't for immigration, most Latinos would be Republican because of social conservative views. But he has really made an effort to reach out to minority voters. My personal view is that he's just he's just there to garner votes, not really, because when Mitt Romney was running, he repeatedly stated that, immigrants, they should self-deport. Undocumented immigrants should self-deport. And when I heard him say that, I knew that was the end of his Latino vote, basically, because you can't just say that to a large group of Latinos. You can't be like, just self-deport, because I don't think he understood the consequence of that statement.
There's so much the guy doesn't understand. The problem is when you're born with an entire drawer full of silver spoons in your mouth, you just aren't going to get what most people are experiencing. Your reality is separate from their reality.
And the fact also is that most Latinos' reality is not Marco Rubio's reality. Marco Rubio's, as I'm sure you are aware, Cuban-American. His parents were Cuban. The process for a Cuban to immigrate from Cuba to the U.S. is vastly different than any other Latino.
We like them Cubans.
Yeah, we like them Cubans.
As long as it's not Fidel Castro, we're
they're very
considering an application.
Very concerned towards the Cuban population. And when Marco Rubio was supposed to come to speak at Iowa, I was there at his rally with other Latino members, and we were talking about how he's not the representation of all Latinos in the United States. He's just one fragment of it. And most Latinos are not looking to see their family members get deported or having their families torn apart because of some immigration policy that is not with the times.
I'm about out of time, but again, can we hope for some serious immigration reform now that the election's over? And can we expect any kind of Republican cooperation?
I would expect so. It'd be stupid if the Republican Party didn't work with the Democratic Party for some type of immigration reform.
Okay, and will immigration reform include Congressman Steve King's dream of an electrified fence along the border?
I hope not.
Hey, as Steve King told us, we do that with livestock all the time.
I hope not.
That's my one big disappointment, is that he got reelected.
That was my big disappointment as well. I was really hoping for Christy Vilsack to get elected.
But I think his voice and that kind of ridiculous perspective are going to be marginalized. I hope. I mean, I really don't have a good feel for where the U.S. House is going to go, but I think Republicans. I mean, and you see it. I mean, you saw Governor Christie, Governor Jindal. They both responded very vocally and negatively to some of the remarks that Romney made post-election about gifts. And so I have a feeling that they, like Rubio, understand that the Republicans need to reach out. And again, that's not going to make a Republican out of me, but at least it might make good immigration policy possible.
It might, yep. And hopefully that does happen, because I know a lot of undocumented immigrants, youth and whatnot, want that to happen.
Yeah. Hector, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with your school and with all the wonderful things you're doing with your time. You're not just sitting at home in front of a TV or out wasting your money at Walmart on Black Friday. Good for you.
Thank you.
Folks, I'll be back with you on Monday. I want to thank Maddie Arrington, my producer. I want to thank Webcast One Live. I want to thank Reynolds Energy Solutions for sponsoring this segment of the program. If you have not had an energy audit done, or even if you have had one done, you should get Tim to do a better one, because Tim is thorough. It'll take 2 to 4 hours for him to come in and give a total analysis of what your energy situation is. He'll identify ways you're wasting energy, ways you can save money. Again, the audit itself is free. I highly recommend it. I had Tim over my place, and I was astounded at how much energy I could save. So give him a shout, folks, at 802-2801. That's 802-2801. That's Reynolds Energy Solutions. I'll be back with you on Monday.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I am administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply